very welcome, Minister. I'm delighted to be able to speak to you this afternoon. Very simply, I would like the data protection impact assessment statement and all records that you are holding at this moment that you're the data controller of, if that's possible. I'm just wondering, the final report you say is under review by the department. Why is it under review? What will be published and what will you be amending in that report before it gets published? I welcome your programme for government statement in relation to the direct provision and ending direct provision, but to me you've really just put a new fancy name on it with the international protection accommodation. Currently there's 7,000 people in direct provision accommodation, with 30% of those are children. We'll need about 3,000 homes just to deal with the families that are in direct provision, the people that are in direct provision at this moment in time. I don't want this to be renamed international protection accommodation, if that is what you're calling ending direct provision in this country. TUSLA, the international, is he gone, is he?
We're trying to establish
right,
that.
okay.
Minister, can you still hear us in that room?
I can still hear you, Senator and Chair.
Great.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No problem at all. Just with regards to TUSLA, increasing the residential care spaces, I'm just wondering why you would promote that method of childcare. Fostering and family fostering, and doesn't matter whether it's single parents, whatever type of fostering, in a family home environment is much better for any child than the residential care spaces where they have social workers coming in to look after them 24/7. I don't want to see you promoting that model. I really want you to see you promoting the fostering family model, if it's possible, whatever that family makeup might be. But having a child brought up in a home and a family environment is much better than having a child brought up in residential care. Today's mother and baby, we were talking about yesterday's mother and baby homes, but what about today's mother and baby homes that exist out there? Can you provide the committee maybe with details of these? That I'm not too sure whether they're actually under. There is some, Minister, believe it or not. There are mother and baby units that exist in this country still for young girls. So what step-down facilities are available for those young girls and their babies? And who are they run by? I'm not too sure whether they're run by TUSLA or private operators, but if you could provide details on that, I'd appreciate it. I know you're looking quite confused there now, but believe me, they do exist. Minister, I really want you to be a fantastic champion for children. I'm a foster parent myself, and I know the trials that these kids come into me and the suffering that some of these kids come into my door, and I want you to champion them. And I haven't seen you champion them yet. Working men and women were given an allowance of the stay and spend of €250. The students of Ireland were given €250. The teenagers in this country, their mental health and well-being, why don't you give them some sort of a leisure voucher or some sort of a well-being voucher that they could use for themselves? I think we need to do something for the teenagers in this country, something individual, unique to them. They can use it for mental health and well-being, they can use it for going to the gym, they can use it for whatever they so choose, but some sort of a leisure or recreational well-being voucher that these kids can use that makes them feel valued and important in society. And maybe if we can, I suppose, if we can help them at that age, problems going down the line may not manifest. Alcohol Action Ireland today have stated that 200,000 children are affected by parental alcohol abuse, while 400,000 adult children are living with the consequences. That's 12% of our population affected by alcohol abuse in this country. How are we going to address that? We need to address those subjects as well. Now, what else did I want to bring up with you? I think that's me done, I think. But, you know, I really wish you well. I think you have a huge body of work to do. The mother and baby issue is a very sensitive issue for everybody. And I want people to know, you know, at this moment in time, if I am a victim of a mother and baby home, I cannot access my data at this present time. You have created a database, which I can get at that database, but I cannot get the record or the testimony that I gave to the Commission at the time. And those are the facts. So, and I want people to know that. Those are the facts out there. While other parties, and they've actually gone from here, came out with fake news saying that people could actually access their data. They can't. They can access their name, but they can't access their own testimony that they gave to the Commission at the time. So thank God we have GDPR that can protect those individuals' data. Thank God we have that, and thank God we have a European law that supersedes any law that we have in this country. So I wish you well, but I wish you that you would do the right thing always by the children. And the children of this nation are not just the children that we have today, but the children that we did not serve right as this state was being formed over the last 100 years. We've made lots of mistakes. Let's not continue to make them with residential care homes, please, for our teenagers. Let's not continue to make them with our mother and baby homes. They're small. They're only small mother and baby homes. There could be maybe only 2 or 3 mother and babies in these particular homes. But let's not make the mistakes. Let's learn from those and be the best society that we can be for all our children. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator. Minister.
Thanks, Senator. Thanks for your comments. And look, first of all, on the issue of residential care and the preference of fostering, absolutely, fostering is always the preference. And I think of all children in care in the state, I think 91% are in foster care and 7% are in residential care. So that's, I think, shows the extent to which TUSLA focuses on the residential care. But there are situations where a child or a young person often has needs, and there may be behavioural needs, there may be needs related to the family circumstance or indeed a wider societal circumstance that they're coming from, where the traditional foster care model that works so well and is so good for the vast majority of young people in care just isn't suitable, where there's a need to have a range of specialists around the clock looking after that particular child or young person. And unfortunately, the number of those cases has grown very significantly in the last number of years. And that's why we've seen this increase in residential. And it's not through choice, Senator, but it is through necessity, and that's why we've had to put that additional supports in, and we couldn't not, Senator, if there was a situation where you have a young person whose needs far outstrip a foster family, we have to put that level of care in. As regards direct provision, and absolutely this can't be, and it won't be just a name change, it's a complete approach to how we treat people in the international protection process while they're waiting for a decision. It's about the accommodation, it's about the wider supports that are provided to them. It's about allowing them independence in terms of work, in terms of being able to get a driver's license, in terms of being able to engage with kind of society as a whole as regards protection in the context of education. And it's about integration as well, and ensuring that the direct provision centre isn't just somewhere miles outside of town where it's not really accessible, but there is integration as well. So it's much more than just a name change, and you can have my assurance that we'll deliver on that. And I think you make a very strong point on the well-being of young people. My department, since the pandemic began, my department has been undertaking research to ascertain how specifically is the pandemic impacting on young people. And this research was important, in I think making the case that the reopening of schools was really important, both from the point of view of general mental health for supporting children with from disadvantaged areas and children with special educational needs, but also as a a window into those children whose families may be dysfunctional or where there is some element of abuse taking place, because when a child is in front of a teacher for 6 or 7 hours in a day, that teacher can spot issues very quickly and notify relevant authorities. And the research that we did in conjunction with Spun Out on looking more at the kind of teen age, that research was very important in the context of the roadmap for resilience and recovery that was launched, that the roadmap we're all operating on at the moment. And it was very important for convincing me to put the additional supports into, and the additional financial supports into, youth services, because one thing the research spotted was those young people that had engaged with youth services during the pandemic, during the lockdown, had much better outcomes than those that hadn't. So that's one of the things that convinced me of the real importance of supporting our youth sector at this period of time. And the data and the research we did is also informing me. So I was at the Cabinet subcommittee last night and we were discussing mental health, and I would have brought forward this need to really concentrate on mental health of everybody now that we're back at level 5, but particularly the mental health of young people as well.
Can I come back in there, Minister? Just, there's a little anomaly with regard to apprenticeships for children under the age of 18. If they're in apprenticeships, they couldn't get any payment whatsoever. So if you could talk to the Minister of the Department of Social Protection, and maybe it doesn't matter what you give these teenagers. If they're between 16 and 18, and they cannot get anything, they didn't get anything during the first lockdown. So maybe you could address that with the Minister going forward. If it ever does happen again, if we ever have another
Senator,
pandemic.
if you'd like to maybe write to me on that point, that would be useful.
I've highlighted it already with the Minister, but because
yeah,
of the Minister
but if you'd like to write it to me as well, and
I
could engage with Minister Harris, who I think kind of leads out on apprenticeship at the moment, I'd be happy to engage with your office on that.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're